Hey everyone, welcome to Everything Programming Pro. So in today's video, we are going to make a simple Twitter component that is, we'll have a blank page and a simple tweet button that when we click on tweet button, we'll see a pop-up and there we'll be able to enter a small tweet just like, how we usually tweet. So the functioning will be very similar. Let me just show you. So as soon as we hit a maximum character limit, let's say we'll also measure the do you see? So as soon as we hit this particular limit, the circle goes yellow, and as soon as the circle goes yellow, we can see now the button is disabled and this is happening, right? So this is some sort of a character counter or something like that, but for in a modal we'll be able to do this, right? So we'll see if we are able to do this red thing that is happening. So so let's proceed, right? So first of all we will I'm building this in a simple code sandbox. You can use VS Code or any code editor of your choice, right? So I'll simply create a new component here that says Twitter component dot component dot js, right? So the Twitter component is here. So I'll simply, we don't need to import React. So I'll simply write const Twitter component is equal to, this would be an arrow function, right? And this will simply return us some kind of UI, right? So dev and this div will contain the tweets, right? So let's call it Twitter modal and let's give it a class name of modal container, right? So we'll apply this. Now I'm not going, this is not a CSS practicing class, so I'll not be going deep into the principles of CSS and how you should write CSS. So I'll simply just achieve the functionality part and create the modal, right? So I'll just give it a border of 1 pixel solid black for now and a border radius of that is 6 pixels, so maybe 12 pixels. Let's see how it looks like, and also a minimum width of, let's say, 300 pixels and a max width of, let's say, 550 pixels, right? So I'll simply save this file and let's go to Twitter component and also save this, right? So we will, on this page we will have a button that says tweet, right? This button will simply be a tweet button, right? And we'll give it a class name of tweet button, right? I'll save this again. I'll go back to the CSS file and I'll write tweet button, right? So this way, let's give it a border of none, then padding of 1 pixel. Sorry, this would be 1 rem, or maybe top bottom 1 rem and side it must be 1.5 rem, right? And border radius I will give it as, let's say, 25%, right? Border radius of 25% we were getting, or maybe let's just simply give it 50%. This should get the job done. Okay, this is still looks bad. Let's say 40. How much 40 works? No, 30. I guess 25 is just fine for now, right? Later on we will see how to make the button look like that. And background color, this would something some sort of blue, and if we go by Twitter blue, we'll later see what color is Twitter using, right? And the color here would be white, right? So don't go on the UI of the Twitter tweet button. We can always refer to the original tweet and this UI, right? So let's go back and we have tweet button, and the cursor here is always pointer since this is an action, right? Yeah. So yeah, so I'll create a new state here, const is modal open and set is modal open, right? So this will be a use state, and initially it would be false, right? And as soon as we click on this, right, we will simply toggle the state, right? That means if is like set is, just a sec, set is modal open, we'll take the initial state and we'll simply opposite the initial, use the opposite initial state, right? So this way, right, if we see now we have the button, and here we will import the first, we will check if is modal open. If modal is open, we will simply show the Twitter component, right? So now simply let's import Twitter component from Twitter component, right? So as soon as I save this, so if I click on this, okay, my bad, I have not exported it, right? Yeah, so I'll save this, I'll save also this one, and now if I click on this, it's still throwing some error. Let's see what is the problem. Okay, this is not a default import, right? Yeah. We have to check the, okay, let's see what are we exactly, okay, sorry, compo NENT, my bad, NENT. Yeah, now it's fine. Still it's throwing some error, apologies. Come on, I'm just randomly, I guess. Perfect, right? Now if we see, we can toggle this UI, right? Yeah. So now what are we going to do is, first of all, let's go to the CSS part and give this app a position of relative. This for me, the main parent is app, that's why I'm writing app, so your parent can be some other division or something else, right? So this time around, to the Twitter container, I will give it a position of absolute, right? I'll save this. When I click on this, now you can see and a top of, let's also do one thing. Okay, let's not, okay, yeah, maybe we can do that as well. Background, it's fine. Modal container, right? We will give it, let's also give modal container dot modal body, and let's move these two things, or in fact all of these things, to the modal body, right? And give this a position of absolute, this thing, right? A width of 100% and a height of 100 view height, right? And I'll give it a background color, it should be RGBA, right? And this one would be, or maybe let's not go this way, background BSC ground color, let's give it black for now, and from here I'll simply toggle the opacity, right? I'll just make it a little less opaque, right? And this time around, if I go to Twitter, this thing, modal container now also has modal body, right? So I'll just cut this and I'll make another division here that says same, and this class would be modal body, right? I'll save this. Let's see what happens now. Now you can see I'm getting this gray background here, right? So for this thing, the top would be 0, right? And the padding here would be 0. Okay, I think there's something else. Okay, I'll just give it a star. That means all properties should have padding of 0, margin of 0 initially, right? Yeah, so this way you can see that we are able to see our modal, Twitter modal here, right? In that, so here in the Twitter modal, we'll simply pass this set open modal, right here, and this would be equal to set Twitter modal open, right? So this way around we can access these states in the props, right? So we'll simply go by props way, and we'll restructure the props here, and we'll write, this is a simple case of props drilling, right? So again we will give a button here, maybe just simply a close button for some time. Just for some time we'll give a close button that will simply say have a X, and on click of this we will simply set open state to false, right? So let's click on this. Let me see what is the problem here. To locate the stack described. Okay, got it. So we cannot just set it like this. This shaft needs to be a arrow function, right? So I'll click on this, and this closes this, right? So we have achieved some sort of functionality here. Now we'll just need to design the UI, right? So if we see, this is a background is white. First of all, let's go this way. There will be no border. Background color would be white, right? Height would be, let's assume it's 300 pixels, right? We'll save this. Let's see how it looks like. Now we are able to, you can see this is happening, right? And again, this time around, text align will simply center Twitter modal. Okay, let's not go with this. This modal container, right? We can simply give it display of flex, right? And align items should be center, and justify content should be center. Now if we save this, you can see the Twitter modal is right in the center of this, right? So let's go back to Twitter component, and this time around let's change this Twitter modal. Let's put the button inside for some time, and here we will have this input, right? And on top of that we will have, what else are we having? So this would always go to the bottom of this, and we will on change. This would be a handle change function, and this handle change function, this would be const handle change is equal to this another function. This is going to take an event, right? And simply what is this going to do? Then simply console.log whatever we print on this, whatever we write on the screen, right? So let's say if I open this, and now if I'm entering something, this is automatically start showing in the console, right? This is fine. So let's now start with the UI part as well as the functionality part, right? So here we will have another button. This button would be at the bottom of the screen, right? So I'll write button, and this button will say tweet, right? Don't go in the UI as of now, this can look a little odd. So simply write class name, this would be tweet. Tweet, I'll simply write. And we have an input box, we have a cross button. We'll remove the cross button, this is just to close the modal as of now, right? So we have this tweet button and an input input element, right? So what are we going to do is we're also going to give this a class name of tweet input, right? So this way we'll know that we are targeting the tweet input class, right? So in the modal body, again, this would be dot modal container dot modal body dot tweet input, right? So we have tweet input will give border of none, right? So just ignore the background noise, please. There are a lot of dogs barking around. So yeah, we have this. Now we will also give this a placeholder just to know that we are here. Placeholder, this would be say something dot dot dot, right? And this time around the height would be HEI would be, sorry, what am I even doing, my bad, sorry. So this time around the height of this tweet container would be auto, right? This will, we will able to see this, right? And if we just give it, let's say if we give it a height of 100%, this will not work, right? Amazing, but we don't want it this way, right? So if we type something, this is again not gonna help. So instead of tweet input, let's put a text area. Yes, text area should be the proper text area, right? This time around, if we see, and I'll simply remove this thing from here. So with text area, we have this liberty that this will automatically go to the next line, right? And height here would be max content, right? Okay, still it's not working, so I'll just give it a height of, not working. Okay, that's super strange. This should take height. Okay, let's give it an absolute height of whatever the height we are giving to the container, right? 300 pixels. So this will take the height of the whole stuff, right? Okay, so the width here would be 100%, right? And the modal body will have a padding of 1 rem, right? So now we have something to say, and we have something like this as well. Also, we'll give this a border radius, just like how we give it to the border radius. This would be we gave this as modal container, we gave border radius of, let's say, 6 pixels, है ना? Yeah. Now this time around we'll give it an outline of none, right? So I'll just simply save this. If you see, now we have this, but we don't have that background around us, right? So instead of giving it a proper width of 300 or like height of 300, let's give it 250 so that we have some space for the button left, right? Or maybe just we give it 170. Yeah, works, right? So now we will go to the tweet input, and we will again, I'll just copy this class, right? And I'll target it here. This time around this would be the tweet button only, right? So I'll give it a border of none, right? Then padding of 1 rem, just to design this, right? Padding of 1 rem, and color white, background color blue. This is just for the UI purpose. You can always change it just to the way you want it, right? 12 pixels. And what else? mm, Padding, this should be fine. We'll just give it 250 again, right? Border radius, and the width here would be, width of this button would be, let's say 50 pixels. Let's see how much it is. Okay, I'll just give it 100 pixels width, right? Now we see this tweet button. Amazing. And again, the cursor here should be, cursor should always be a pointer since this is an action button, right? So what are we gonna do is, now we'll put a, let's check the character limit of Twitter. How much characters does Twitter allow? So this way, this is the maximum character that Twitter allows, right? So we'll simply character counter, online character counter tool. So I'll simply paste this. So this is how many characters? 280 characters now you can tweet, right? So here we will, let's say, if e dot target dot value dot length length greater than 280. If it is greater than 280, we will simply console.log exceeded, right? So this way around we will know that we have exceeded the character limit. And we'll also, now this time around, we will create a state here that will say const disable and set disable. This would be again a use state. So simple case of use state, initially this would be false. As soon as this hit greater than 250 280, this use state will go to, sorry, my bad, this set disable goes as true, otherwise, right, otherwise else it goes as false, right? So I'll simply save this. Let's just tweet something, paste. Okay, my bad. Okay, you see it says exceeded. And now if I copy this and paste it here, it says in limit, right? In limit. Yeah, you see it says in limit. As soon as I hit some character limit, it limit and exceeded, in limit and exceeded, in limit and exceeded, right? So at least we are able to do this, right? Now disable would be to again dependent on disable, right? So if it exceeds, the button will be disabled, right? And if it does not, the button will be enabled, right? So I'll simply save this as well. I'll simply save this class as well. And now if we see, so now what we'll do is, we'll have to put a circle over here that tells us about the number of characters here, right? Or the number of characters remaining when they reach to a certain limit, right? So this would be simply count. We'll again set a new state that says const count set count. This is equal to again new state. This would initially be empty, or let's say initially this would be 0, right? And what else? Let me just, yeah, now const, again this would be the value of the text area, right? Set value. This would initially be use state, and initially this would be an empty string, right? So the value here, this would be value is equal to value, right? So whatever I write here, that will automatically come here. So now we have this greater than 280. So here we will set the value, set value. This is equal to, set value should be e dot target dot value, only when it is greater than sorry, when all this would be set only when this is less than 280, right? So we have this value prop here as well, and here we have to set the count, that is also set count. Here set count, this should be always e dot target dot value dot length, right? This would be the count, right? And what else? Great. So let's display the count here somewhere. Count, right? So let's save this, and if can you see, as we start typing, we see this button over here. So as soon as we hit 280, again I'll put disable condition here, and on click, if the button is not disabled, this will simply set is modal open to false. That means if the modal is not, if the character limit is not, so again we have to pass an arrow function, right? So if you see, if I enter the character, that is the length of the characters entered is greater than 280, this button should be disabled, right? And that means we should not be able to close this button. I cannot enter this. Okay, I should be able to enter. Okay, I should be able to enter, right? I should be able to enter both ways. Yeah, right. Now I should not be able to close this. I am still able to close this. That means disable is not working. Set disable, and disable is equal to disable. Disable should be true and disable should be false, right? So as soon as you click on wait, this is enabled. Always on click and set disable is equal to, if I write true here, let's see if it's working. No, the disable prop is not working for some reason, so we will check in this another video, right? So this way around you can simply create a Twitter button, and that will also give you the character count, right? And I'll simply remove this X button from here. Yeah, and I'll just simply copy this, paste this, and this has exceeded, and I am still able to do this. This should not be the case. If you see, due to some reason the disable prop for this button is not working. So if I have disabled this should always be disabled right now, even though I'm still able to close this. So this should ideally work, right? So if you find this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel. And this is a small UI, right? We can always add more functionalities just by referring to how Twitter has implemented, right? So that's all for this video, and ideally this should work, because we have, as soon as it hits greater than 280, we are disabling this, right? And as soon as it decreases, we are disabling it, right? So even though I'm passing a disable prop is true, this is still, I'm still able to close this. That means the disable prop is not working for some reason. So ideally they should work. So that's all for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.